recap of yesterday's class, what we have discussed is we have looked at the profile as a concept, and then we have seen how a user can be changed to a different profile, how we can assign a profile to a user is what we have seen, and depending on the changes that I am doing on the profile, how the settings or the configurations that I'm doing on the profile is affecting the behavior of a user is what we have seen in yesterday's class. And we have also discussed one topic where I want to give an extra access to my manager, and rest all should not have the case deletion object access. All right, so that is one of the scenario. By using the profiles and permission set, what you can do is you can give the base level of access to all your profiles, and you can make use of permission sets to extend the access that is given to your profile. All right, if your profile can do XYZ activities, the reason why I'm calling it as XYZ activities, like that XYZ can be any group of settings that you want to configure for that profile. All right, and this permission set, what it can do is it can basically extend the access that is given to your profile. All right, so if this is the scope of your profile, if this is your scope of your profile, a permission set can add the extra scope to your profile. All right, so this using the permission set, what you can do is using the permission set, what you can do is you can extend the access that is given to the profile. All right, your permission set 1, 2, and 3, it basically add on, or it basically extends the functional access that a user can have. All right, this is how your access for the user will keep on increasing as in when you add in the extra permission set. All right, even though if your person or the user is basically belong to the same category that we have, that is the customer support, if you want to, or the business wants to extend the functionality, they don't need to create a new profile, but they can create a permission set and assign that to a user. All right, so permission set is similar to the profile itself. What we'll do is we'll basically create a permission set, and we'll see how we can assign a permission set to a user. All right, how to create a permission set? Click on your setup, in the quick find, search for permission set, click for permission sets, and here is how the permissions page or the existing permissions sets will look like. All right, here is what you can basically look at the existing permissions, and if you want to create a new permission set, you can go ahead and create a new permission set by clicking on this button. All right, click on that new button, and it would ask you for a name. I'll say permission August batch is what I'll write. Your permission set should indicate what exactly it will be doing. If I want to extend the permission set to basically give the delete access to a case, then the permission set name should indicate that, or it should indicate the reason why we are creating that permission set. All right, not all the times you can basically give a name to a permission set indicating that these are all the activities that it can do. Always you can make use of, if that is not the case, if you are not able to include all the actions that have been performed by your permission set, give us some meaningful name here and make use of the description to basically indicate what this permission set can do. All right, so make use of your description box just by writing what exactly this permission intent, creating this permission main intention was. All right, make use of your description. All right, and license, if you are dealing with the Salesforce licenses, you can basically select the Salesforce here and you can click on save. All right, so that is how we can basically create a permission set in our Salesforce org. All right, once your permission set has been created, this is how it will look like. All right, and here are the list of or a collection of settings with which you can help the end user understand what he or she can do in Salesforce. All right, as per the definition, it says that the permission set and profiles are little similar. Profiles and the permission sets are similar, but if you see the profile screen that we have seen yesterday, is quite different from what I'm seeing on the permission set screen. All right. If I open the profile that we have created yesterday, which is nothing but demo August. All right, the profile basically looks like this. The look and feel of the profile looks like this. All right, you have page layouts, you have apps, you have tabs. All right, and you have objects that you can control. All right, you have objects that you can control, but those things are not visible in your permission set. But the definition according to Salesforce saying that profiles and the permission sets are similar, but you don't find that similarity here. All right, the definition wise it is correct, but the view wise it is little different. All right, we'll quickly understand how that view is basically changed in your permission set. All right, you can configure the same things that you can do in your permission set, but they would be in different sections. If you want to basically change anything related to your object settings, what you can do is you can click on this object settings. All right, you can click on this object settings, and here are the list of objects similar to what we have seen in our profile. Here the objects are coming in one screen, but this objects can be only viewed once you click on this object settings in a permission set. All right, here are the list of objects that we have. If I want to basically extend the access for a case object, what I can do is I can click on that object link here. All right, once the page opens, I'll get to know the each and every configuration that I can do on an object level. All right, I can set whether this tab will be visible for this permission set or not. I can decide from here. I can assign what all record types needs to be visible to your end user, and I can decide what level of object access I want to give to that end user and the permission set. All right, one point to remember is, like I've already repeated it, you cannot restrict the access for a user by creating a permission set. Your permission set will never be able to restrict the access that is given to your user. All right, if your user can do XYZ activities from your profile level, your permission set cannot downgrade those activities. Your permission set can do or enable the user to do A and B extra activities on top of the activities that he can do from his profile. Your profile basically allows the user to do XYZ activities. With your permission set, what he or she can do is he can do 2 more extra activities as per this permission set, which is A and B. All right, with the permission set, you can extend the access or extend the functionality that a user can use in Salesforce. But the vice versa is not true. Your permission set cannot downgrade the activities that a user can already do with your permission, with your profile. All right, this will never happen. If the user can do XYZ activities with your permission set, you cannot say that I'll be removing the access of the user, or I can say that with the permission set I want to remove the access of X that a user has from his profile, his or her profile. All right, you cannot downgrade the activities or the actions that he can perform that is coming from your profile. This will never happen. This scenario will never happen. Your permission set is only there to extend the access that you want to give to your end user. All right, now as per our requirement, what I can do is, if I want to basically give the delete access to my manager, in my profile I don't have that access of delete. What I can do here is I can basically extend that deletion access here. I can basically extend the delete access here. As soon as I check this checkbox, in order to delete you need to have read access and edit access as well. All right, and since on my profile I already have my create access, I'm just giving that create access as well. All right, now what has happened, he also has an ability to delete those records. All right, and if you want to restrict the number of record types that you want to display to your manager or to the profile or to the user who is connected to this permission set, you can enable or disable it here. All right, and if you want to basically do anything with your field level permission, you can always do it from your permission set as well. If you don't want certain fields to be visible to your profile people or the users who are connected to the profiles, what you can do is you can remove the permissions set from there and you can basically remove that permissions for that field level security. You can basically remove the read and edit access to those fields, and you can only give those permissions. That means the access to read or edit that fields to a permission set and assign it to a user. Correct. So this is how you can configure your permission set. Your permission set can be as granular as one setting. Alright, I can just give delete access as my permission set, and I can create a permission set. Alright, your permission set can go as granular as one setting. Alright, if you just want to give a access as delete access, you can just create a permission set for delete access. Alright, if you just want to give an access to, let's say, 10 different objects, your normal profile will not have edit access on that record, but your permission set users should have the edit access. Then what you can do is you can create an additional permission set and give all the edit access to that permission set. And what we need to do next, once you create a permission set, is what we'll see. All right, you can create your permission set as granular as one setting, and it can also extend like a kind of a profile where you can give bunch of options to that permission set. All right, there is no restrictions on how many settings that you can do within your permission set. All right, it can act as a profile, but you need to use that as wisely as possible, because the base level of access should go to your profile, and only the additional access for certain set of people should go into your permission set. The idea of the permission set is to only extend those things that you are not able to give to your profile, but the idea of the permission set is not to rebuild your profile. The idea of the permission set is not to rebuild your profile. All right, use it wisely for the only things that you are not able to give to your profile. All right, so that is the background of your permission set. So what we have done is we have created a permission set. In this permission set, we have given the access of delete to our delete to the case object. Now what we'll see is we'll see how to basically associate this permission set to a user. I know that user basically is tagged to a profile. All right, I know that user is tagged to a profile. All right, I can also look into the profiles by clicking on the profile link here. I think we have already opened. Yeah, I think we have already opened this profile. All right, so what I'll do is I'll remove all this items here. All right, so if I have a profile open, I can look into the users who are connected to this profile by clicking on that view users button. All right, once I have that users, I can extend the access. So currently this demo August doesn't have a delete access. Let's see if we can extend that access to this user by giving him a permission set. So permission set can be assigned to your user by going to the users. All right, so one way is to go to your profile, click on view users, find out the user that you want to give access to, or the second way is to basically search for your users. Under administrator manage users, you will have users. Click on it and search for your user. All right, and open that user. If you scroll down, here is where you will have the section called permission set assignment. Now what happens is, as a user, he has the access of or he can do certain things that are given by your profile. On top of that, what we are saying is this permission set will extend the capabilities that cannot be done using your profile. It is like adding an extra layer, or a kind of a what we can say is it is adding an extra sandwich on top of another sandwich, making a kind of a double sandwich is what I can say. All right, we are saying that currently profile can do only XYZ activities, and just by creating a permission set and assigning it to a user, you will say that this exact user can do activities XYZ. On top of that, with the help of the permission set, he can do A and B activities, is what you can say when it comes to the permission set discussion. All right, so how to assign the permission set that we have created to a user? This is the permission set that we have created. All right, so how to assign this permission set to a user? Go to your user, scroll down, you will find this permission set assignment section. Click on edit assignments, and here in this section you will get to know all the permissions that are there. All right, find out the permission that you have that you have created or that you want to assign to this user, select that permission set, assign it to the user. Alright, you can also basically select multiple permission sets that you have here and assign those permission set to this user depending on your requirement. Currently my requirement is not to assign the existing permission set, but to assign only the permission set that I have created. Alright, in case if you want to revisit and add an extra permission set, always you can come back to that user that you want to associate that permission set with, select that permission set, click on add, and that is where you can add that permission set to that user. Alright, once done with the permission set assignment, you can click on save. Alright, now what happens is he or she will get the extra access. He or she will get that extra access on top of their profile. Alright, let's quickly see if that is working or not. I'll click on login. This is how I'll log in into that person, and I'll click on cases. Alright, so earlier this user didn't have that create access. As per my permission set, what I did was I have given the created access as well. Alright, and he should also have one more permission that is delete access. Alright, earlier if I look into that profile that he has, alright, he or she doesn't have that delete access that we have seen in our earlier class, alright, or the previous class, and he or she didn't have that create access. Alright, I think we have already also checked one more object, which is that demo object. Where is my demo August object? Yeah, demo August 6 batch details. Here he didn't even have this create access for this object. Even in my permission set, I have not given that access. Now what happens, he or she will not be able to create that record under this object, just because that profile and the permission set is not allowing him the access, or not allowing or giving the access to him so that he can create that record on this object. Alright, so that is how your permission sets and profiles will play a huge role in the system's security. When I say system, it is Salesforce system security. Alright, so that is all we have for the permission set. If you ask me to summarize how this actually behaves is, alright, I have a base profile. Let's say it could be the CS user, it could be the technician, it could be your sales rep, it could be your marketing rep. You would basically give the base level of access to your profile, and the users are connected to that base level profile. This all users who are connected to this profile can only do those things that are being configured in your profile. Alright, what does the additional permission set, or what does this permission set will do is, it will basically bring in the additional things that are not being achieved using your profile. XYZ example. Alright, and this permission set can do A activity. On top of XYZ, it allows the user to do activity A. If you have a second permission set where it says this permission set will allow this user to do B activity, now this user 4 can do XYZ activities, and he can also do activity A and he can also do activity B. Right? X can be creating your case record. Y can be anything, like any setting that you want to do it in your profile. Alright, I'm just taking as an example to represent what he or she can do in the Salesforce. I'm representing them as variables here, X, Y, Z, and A and B to differentiate the things. Alright, so this permission set is very specific to your user, but your profile is very generic to all the users who are falling in that category. Alright, so those are the things that you need to keep in mind. Alright, is that permission set topic making sense to everyone? All right, so the exercise I have already given you what to do yesterday using your profile. All right, if you have completed that activity, what you do is now identify one object or one setting that you don't want to give to your profile, but create a permission set with that and assign that permission set to the user that you are logging in to test that functionality and see the difference. First, assign that First, do not assign that permission set and test that functionality, as in like if you want to create a case and you don't want to give that permission on the profile level, log in as that user and see if he or she is able to see that new button. All right. Then what you do, create a permission set with that functionality or that setting where he or she can basically create a case record just by checking that create checkbox under that object level security. Then assign that permission set to this user and see the difference, and log in as that person again and see the difference. All right, you'll understand the difference between how the profile works and how that permission set is extending the access that is being given to your profile. All right, so that is all about your profile and permission set. Majority of the things will be controlled by your profile and your permission set. All right, majority of the things that the user can do will be depending on what all the settings or what all configurations that we did on your profile and a permission set. All right, now just by understanding that, what we have covered is we have covered the part of org level security. We have covered the application security, that is nothing but what all apps that you want to show to your user from the profile level. And we have also understood how this object level settings or object level security on a profile is defining what a user can do on the Salesforce org. And last but not the least, we have covered the field level security. Just by checking the checkbox as read, he or she can basically look at that field but cannot edit that field. If you give edit access to that particular profile, he or she can edit information, or basically they can change the information on that field. If you don't give any access, either read or edit, he or she will not be able to see that particular field. All right, so what we have done, what we have covered is we have covered this part and we have covered the field level security part. What has not been covered is record level security. What is not been covered is record level security. All right, so for the next couple of minutes, we'll go through the record level security. If that topic is not covered today, we'll continue the same topic on Monday's class. All right, so before I start that, I basically take this as an example which I can relate to the profile and permission set topic. All right, so people who don't know who the person is, all right, can take the example that I've discussed in the below picture. All right, so this demonstration is nothing but how to understand profile and a permission set concept in a kind of a way that can be relatable easily. All right, so this is your profile and this is your permission set concept, and I've given you all the inputs related to it. All right, and people who are familiar with this person will be able to, or people who are familiar with this Marvel character will be able to understand this example a little better. In case if you are not able to follow it, it is totally fine. I've given you all the inputs. I'm trying to give this example in a way that it will be registered in your mind for a longer time. All right, so this person, this Iron Man, if he doesn't have this kind of a permission set, what he can do is he can basically have the capabilities of a normal person. What he can do, he can think. All right, he can build machines. He can build machines. All right, this is what this actual profile can do. All right, what exactly this permission set will do is, just by having this permission set assigned to this profile, this user, what he can do is he can fly. This permission set has the capabilities of flying, shooting lasers, and maybe a couple of other stuffs. I'll put it as a box here. All right, so just by having this permission set assigned to this particular person's profile, what he can do is he can get the capabilities that are having in the permission set. He can fly, he can shoot lasers, and he can also talk to his Jarvis as a computer. All right, so these are the capabilities that the permission set will bring in. So once this profile, or once this person is being removed from his permission set, once he gets out of that machine, what he can still do, he can think and he can basically build machines. All right, so that is the difference that you can keep in mind when it comes to the permission set topic and the profile topic. Can he have one permission set at a time? The answer is no. What this person can do is he can call out other machines remotely, and he can also basically do the functionalities remotely as well. So what he can do is he can also add other machines to his kind of an arsenal when it is required. Or depending on the need, he or she will change the permission set, but his actual profile is constant. His actual profile is constant. If he needs a kind of a permission set where it needs to handle a kind of a big structure, where he needs a kind of a, let's say, the machine power, then he'll call out a different permission set. If he needs a kind of if he needs a capability just to fly, that wants a flying machine, he'll call out a different mark, let's say mark 43 or something of that sort. All right. So depending on his requirement, he'll basically gets that permission set added to his profile so that he or she will be getting that capability. All right. So this is what I taken as an example to understand the profile and a permission concept. If you have not understood what has been discussed here, if you are not familiar with this character, always you can rely to this example saying that this profile is constant to everyone. All these people, all the users who are connected to this profile will have the basic functionality, and the user U4, depending on the permission set that has been assigned to him, he or she will get the additional access apart from your base profile. Apart from your base profile, with this permission set, you will get that extra access. All right. So that is how we can think of your permission set and a profile. Always your permission set can only extend your access, but it will not restrict the access that has been already given. All right. So that is the advantage of having your permission set. One more advantage is you don't have to create a individual profile to just get that functionality. All you need to do is create one permission set and assign it to the users who are connected to that profile. All right. If there is no permission set concept, then you have to create a separate profile and assign this user to the new profile. All right. This permission set, what it says is you don't have to change your profile to get that additional access. I, as a permission set, will give you that extra access whenever you need. All right. If this permission set is attached to this user, he or she will get this additional access. If not, he'll still have that basic access that he has. All right. Now that is the difference between your profile and permission set. And I would repeat it again. Nowhere in Salesforce, right? This is the common question that you will get. They'll ask you, can you restrict the access that is given to your user by your profile using a permission set? Straight away, the answer should be, I cannot use a permission set to restrict the user access, but this permission set can only extend the access that is given to your profile. All right. So there is no chance that your permission set can restrict the access. All right. All right. So that is about your profile and permission set. And the next topic that we are going to discuss is, we are going to discuss record level security. We are going to discuss record level security. Since looking at the time that we have, we might not be able to cover everything, but I'll try to see what are the things that we can cover today, and we'll cover the rest on Monday's class. All right. So we'll quickly cover few things that we should have as a kind of a prerequisite to basically understand what is this record level security, and then we'll see if the time permits, we'll proceed on to the topic. If not, we'll understand the prerequisite for the record level security, and on Monday's class we'll basically look into the actual concepts of record level security. All right. Now, having said that, I'll open a case record just to show you one thing here. All right. Do I have it? Yes. All right. So if you see, all right. So if you open any of the record, there would be one field, one standard field that says owner. All right. There would be one field called owner. It actually comes up as soon as you create a record, whether it may be a custom object, whether it may be a standard object. You can always find that field on your object detail page. All right. So why this doesn't have an owner is what we'll discuss. For time being, if I open any other object, right, I'll get to the part why we don't have an owner field on that record. All right. And you know that answer also to that question, but I'll keep that towards the end of our class, or maybe we'll discuss on Monday's class. All right. If you see any custom object, whether it may be, the case is a standard object, it has this owner field, and this custom object, which is our recorder, it also has a owner field. All right. So remember, while we are discussing this field in our first class, I've told you that there is a long story to this owner field and we'll be discussing it in our day 7 class. Here is that discussion. Alright, we'll just touch we'll basically scratch the surface of this owner discussion. Alright, and in Monday's class, we'll basically look into the details of it. Alright, so what exactly this field will do is, as soon as you create a record, what would Salesforce do is, it would basically decide who owns this record. Alright, it is like this. As soon as there is a property that is being sold, alright, or as soon as any property, any land that is being sold, there would be a registration process that happens, right? There is a registration process that happens. So the landowner basically has a kind of a document which says that this property belongs to that person. All right, same goes in, just take that as an example, as a reference. Same happens in your record creation in Salesforce also. As soon as a record is been created, Salesforce would define who is the owner of this property, who is the owner of this record, and what Salesforce will do is, it will basically gives the owner, or it basically uses this field called owner field, right? If it is on a case, you will call it as case owner. If it is on a work order, you will call it as a work order owner. All right, depending on what object we are on, it would decide who is the owner of this one. All right, so as soon as a record is being created, it would assign an owner. All right, by default, without any setting, what would happen is, the person who is creating that case will be the owner of that case. All right, if I'm creating that case, I will be the owner of that case. If XYZ person is creating that case, he or she will be the owner of that case. If Y is basically creating a case, he or she will be the owner of that case. All right, so owner defines who has the right of this record, who has the right for this record. All right, so let's say if they are person X, Y, Z, A, D. Let's say these all people are customer support people, or these all people are customer support people. All right, I have X as a user, I have a Y as a user, I have a Z as a user, I have a A as a user, I have a B as a user. All right, understand this owner concept. To understand this owner concept, we'll just take this scenario. I have this customer support profile. All right, and there are 5 users connected to it. All right, and this profile has the capability of creating a case, editing a case, then reading that case, and they don't have a delete access. All right, same story that we have: create, edit, read, delete, but they don't have a delete access. All right, now what Salesforce will do is, the chances are, if X is working on a given case, Y should not be able to see that, and Z should not be worried about that. Same goes with your A, same goes with your B. All right, if this person is getting a call from the client or from the end user where he's reporting a kind of a issue where he's saying that his laptop is not working, this person owns that activity. So what he'll do, he'll basically create a case in the system. With, let's say, number, let's say 1080. All right, 1080. Now, what happens is, if there is a case that has been created by X, he or she owns the responsibility of communicating or getting that case to a closure. So what Salesforce will do is, to identify who is basically the owner of that case, there is a field called owner on every object that helps define who is owning that responsibility, or who is the owner of this case, or it's like who is the person responsible for that record. All right, this owner field helps us track that information. Now, what will be the owner value for this record 1080? It would be the name of that person. Which is X here. All right, if the Y is getting a second record, which is, let's say, 1080, I'm just writing down the number of the case that has been created. For this Y, he has created a record called 1080, same case. All right, case with the number 1080, and the owner for that particular case would be person Y, right? Now there is a person called Z. He is creating another case in the system 1082, and the owner for that case is Z. And same goes with your A, B also. Alright. Now, what is the advantage of this owner is, if there is no setting saying that view all access been given to the users, only the owner of the case can see that record. Alright. Only the owner of the record can see that case. Alright. So the idea is, if a case of C1 is created, or case with number 10080 is created, who has created that one? X person has created that value. So where it has been reflected, it is reflected on your case owner plus on the created field as well, created by as well. Alright. So created by also gives me the information who has created this one, but actual responsibility or actual kind of a authority relies on your owner, right? It is like this. If I purchase the land, there would be a registrar or someone who will be designating or giving a permission saying that this person owns this land. But that doesn't mean that registrar owns that land. That means that this person S owns that land is what you can think of. Alright. So the document might have the registrar signature, but the actual responsibility relies, or actual authority relies on the owner of that land. Same goes here. This owner field decides who has the actual authority on this record. Alright. Now, if the X person has created that record, only he or she can look into this record. Only he or she can look into this record. Right? This owner basically decides who can see that record or who can edit that record. Alright. So that is the basic background. Alright. This is what you need to understand for now. Alright. So this owner decides who or she can, who can basically look into this case. Now, if Y wants to look into this case 1080, he or she will not be able to look into that, because he or she is not having access to this case, because they are not the owners for that case. If X wants to look into this 1080 case, X cannot do that because he is not the owner of that case. Alright. Is that assumption understood, or is that kind of a discussion understood to everyone? If X wants to see Y's case, that will not happen. If Y want to see the X case, that will not happen. Right? Because they are not the owners of the case. They are not the owners of the case. Is that kind of a discussion understood to everyone? So is the owner name same as the user name? Because I am creating that record, initially Salesforce doesn't have that kind of an understanding whether it has to keep my name or somebody else's name. So what it does is, it will basically copy the person's name who has created that case, and that will be the owner of that case. That value will be the owner of that case. Right? By default, the person who creates that case will be the owner of that case. Alright. So to repeat, what we have discussed is, if person X is creating a case, he will be having his owner name as X. Alright. The owner defines who can see that case. Right? It defines whether this record will be visible to your other people or not. If X is owning that case, even though the Y is connected to the same profile, he or she will not be able to see that case. Same goes with your Z, same goes with your A, same goes with your B. If X wants to see Y's case, same is also true. Y cannot, since the owner of this case 1080 is Y, X cannot see it because he doesn't own that land, or he cannot basically sell. So it is like this. If you want to sell that land, you should be the owner of it, right? Now, if X is owning that land, Y cannot come here and sell that land. As simple as that. You can basically think that scenario and relate to the discussion that we are having. If you take any object, then the owner name would be there. So if you take any object record, that is where you will have your owner. Alright. It is not the object where you are saving the record. It is at the record level that you are saving that record. Alright. Now, so it is as simple as that. The owner can only see that records. Now, where is your record level security coming into the play? Record level security is coming into the play. Alright. The record level security has been established just by having your owner field. All right. So if X is creating a case, this X created case is not visible to Y, not to Z, not to A, not to B. So the case that has been created by Y is not visible to X, Z, A and B. Same goes with others also. All right. Same goes with the others also. All right. Now, if there is a requirement saying that if the B is the manager for, if B is the manager for all the people, if B is the manager for all the people, how can B get to know what are the cases that are being owned by X, Y, Z and A? Because manager is the person who needs to look at all the work that is being done by your employees. X is the employee, Y is an employee, Z is an employee, A is also an employee. All right. Remember the yesterday's discussion where we had a kind of a requirement where the employees can create record, they can create a record, they can read a case record, they can edit a case record, but they don't have a deletion access. But who can have that access? As per our requirement, the manager can have the create access, edit access, and finally the delete access. So what we have discussed, we'll basically create this as a profile and then we'll extend this delete access as a permissions. That is what we have discussed. All right. Now, how is this delete access coming into the play? He can only delete those records that he owns. All right. It is similar to if I want to basically sell my land, then I should be the owner of that land. That is where I can sell that land. Same goes with your delete also. If I own that case, then I can go ahead and delete that one. So what I mean by owning is if there is a case that is been created by B, let's say 1085. I'm just copying this number and I'm taking that as a reference. If there is a 1085 a case that has been created and they think this B as a manager thinks that this case should not be there in the system. What he can do is, since he has that delete access, he can delete this case. He can delete this case. But what if X comes to B saying that X as an employee reaches out to B saying that I want this 1080 case to be deleted because he thinks that there is an existing case that is there in the system. Now he thinks that this 108 case is a kind of a duplicate and he wants to delete that. He wants to delete that. So he'll reach out to B and B has the capability to delete that case. But what happens here is that is where your record level security comes into play, because B is not the owner of that case. He will not be able to delete that record, even though he has that access to delete that record, delete a case record. I would repeat, B from the permission set, B as a user acting as a manager in our use case or in our requirement has the ability to delete a case record in the system. With the permission set, he has the capability of deleting a record. But why he is not able to delete X record is because X record that has been mentioned as 1080, because he or she is not the owner of that case. He or she is not the owner of the case. All right. Even though he has the ability to delete that record, but he or she is not the owner of that case. Even though if I know the end user who can basically purchase this land, if I'm not the owner of that land, I cannot sell this land to him. All right. It is as simple as that. Even though I know that process of selling, I cannot basically go outside and sell other people's land. All right. That is a crime. Right. Same goes here. Even though I have the capability, even though this manager has the capability or knows how to delete that record, or he has that process, or he has that ability to delete that case, he or she will not be able to do that because he doesn't own that record. All right. So in tomorrow's or in Monday's class, what we are going to look at is how can this manager get to see this employee's record. All right. If this is true, if this structure is true where only the individuals can only look at these records, manager will never get to know what their employees are working on. All right. As a manager, he needs to keep a track of the items that are being done by his employees. All right. If XYZ and A are the employees who are reporting to this manager B, this B should have the capabilities to look at what all cases this X is handling, what all cases this Y is handling, what all things are handled by Z, and what all things are handled by A. All right. So in Monday's class, we'll see how this record that is owned by X is being shared with B. All right. So what if this X wants to share a record with Y? What if X wants to share this record with the entire group? All right. So that is what we are going to look into the Monday's class. All right. To summarize the discussion that we had, all right. So to summarize, let me just clear out certain things so that we can. All right. So what is the requirement here? The requirement here is, so as a manager B, he or she needs to look into the records that are owned by X, Y, and Z and A. But what we know is, without doing anything, by default, the records that are owned by X will only be visible to X. The records owned by Y will be only visible to the Y owner or the Y user. The records that are being created by Z will be only visible to Z. And records that are being created by A will be only visible to A, and records that are being created by B will be only visible to B. Now the requirement is, B as a manager needs to have a understanding of the records that are being owned by X, Y, Z and A. Alright, X, Y, Z and A records needs to be visible to B, so that he or she can basically handle the requirement if anyone comes to him to ask him to delete that record, or in case if he wants to see how the X, Y, Z and A are closing the cases, if he wants to have a look at that, he or she needs to have the access to it. Alright, so the requirement is, how can these records will be visible to the manager is first thing, is the one thing that we are going to look at. How X can share his records to manager B. Right, that is one scenario. Second scenario is, if X wants to share the information with Y. X wants to share the information with Y. All right. And the third scenario is, if X wants to share this information with Y, Z and A people as well. As a group, if he wants to share that information, what we have to do? As a group, as an individual, and as a manager, if you want to share that information, what he needs to do is what we are going to see. And this entire concept that we are discussing, or entire scenarios that we are discussing, will be falling into a category called record level security, which we are going to see in our Monday's class. If we take another object, then the owner name would be there. Can you please show that with another object? I mean another object other than case. All right. If I go to a work order, here also you can see this owner field. All right. And the reason why you are not able to see it on this record is, all right, but the reason why you don't see this owner field on your record, if I open this account, here also you will be able to see the owner field. The reason why you are not able to see your owner field on your demo object is the simple reason that we have discussed, which is nothing but your master detail relationship. What we have discussed in our master detail relationship or parent-child relationship, that is, your parent controls the behavior of your child. Your parent controls the behavior of your child. And we have also seen one point where it says the owner for a lookup is an individual owner. When it comes to a master detail relationship, the parent owner will be copied onto your child. Right? For a lookup, you will have individual owners. Lookup relationship connected objects will have individual owners. Your parent can have one owner and your child can have another owner. But when it comes to master detail relationship, as per Salesforce, what it says is ownership and the sharing rules are dependent, or are decided by your parent record. That is why account being a parent has an owner field. That is why your child doesn't have your owner field here. Right? For other custom objects, this object is a kind of an independent object which is connected to the case via lookup. That is why you can have individual owners here. All right. Right. So that is the main difference why you don't see a owner field on your child records, but if it is connected by a lookup relationship, you can still see that owner field. All right. So as we have discussed, there are like a couple of scenarios that we need to discuss in our record level security. Keeping time in mind, I'm not starting this requirement, I'm not starting this discussion, but I've given you an overview. What are the scenarios that would come in? All right. So if you ask me a real-time scenario where X wants to share his information with Y, all right, he has created a case, but he wants to share with Y. All right. If you ask me a real-time scenario, let's say if X has created a case and he or she is suffering with fever, right? Today he has created a case and tomorrow he is not able to come to work. Then can this business ignore the case that is being created by X till the point where the X comes to the business, X joins the company back? The answer is no. Your employees can take a PTO, but the business cannot take a kind of a leave, right? Your employee can basically, your X as an employee can take a sick leave, but your business cannot say that reason to your end user saying that one of our employees is sick, that is why we are not able to provide a solution to you. All right, that will not work. Then what happens is X needs to share his information with Y. All right. In his absence, can someone do that operation? Is what we're going to see. In terms of X records, there might be some scenarios where he is falling sick or if he is going on a vacation. The items that are there in his bucket needs to be transferred to the another person so that he or she can look into that issue. All right. There is one scenario that we have already discussed where the manager needs to look into the information that has been created by your employees, that are working or reporting to him. All right. And there is a kind of a scenario where X wants to share his information to Y and Z and A, because once he completes an activity, there might be certain set of people who will be reviewing that. There would be certain set of people who needs to review that, or there might be certain scenarios where X creates the case and he needs to basically send that case to certain set of people where they can start working on it. If that is the scenario, how can X share his information to the group of people? All right. So these are the scenarios that we are going to discuss in Monday's class. This entire subject falls, or the entire scenarios that we are discussing will be falling into a category called record level security. All right. So we have just scratched the surface and we have not seen how to implement these scenarios in Salesforce. All right. Once we complete our Monday's class, we'll be in a position to basically provide these options to your end user where he or she will be able to share his records to other people depending on the requirement. All right. So that is all for today's class. What we have discussed is we have discussed a topic called permission set, and then we have understood the scenarios that we'll be getting as a part of record level security. All right. Those are the things that we have seen in today's class, and I'll open up the session for Q&A. Profile is like a category, all right? It is like a category that you have, all right? So let's say if there is a person called customer support, there are certain roles and responsibility. You can visualize a profile as a kind of items that you want your end user to do, all right? Items you want your employee to do. If there are like certain set of activities that you want him to do, you can basically create it as a profile and say that this profile will allow this user to do only these things. And to answer your question, yes, you can assign multiple users to your profile. And if you ask me why I'm not able to do that in our developer org, in developer org you can only create 2 Salesforce licenses user. You can create 2 users with a Salesforce license. That is why you will not be able to create multiple users and assign it to a profile. All right. One user is already in place. One user is nothing but the system admin user that you are using to log in into your org, and the second user is the user that I've asked you to create to basically understand the profile functionality. And if you ask me, can I create the third user in my developer edition org? We cannot do it. Either I have to deactivate the second user that I've created and create a third user and use the license that is been freed by the second user and assign it to the third user. All right. So in real-time environments or in real-time edition orgs, you can create multiple users under your profile. Did that answer your question, Suresh ji? All right. Awesome. All right. So people who are worried about what exactly we'll be doing in the record level security, how can I expose this and all, the idea is to basically help you understand what the owner field can do. All right. And we have understood what scenarios will be coming in real time where I have to expose the record that has been owned by X to Y, Z, A and B. And we have also understood what are the scenarios where we need to understand all the records that are being owned by the X, Y, Z and A should be shared with B. We have understood the scenarios. All right, how to implement that and everything we'll be discussing in our Monday's class. All right. So people who are asking me about whether they want a leave on Monday, at least what I can say is at least we are lagging by 10 classes. We are at least lagging by 11 classes. All right. As per my plan, we are lagging by 11 classes. In case if you want to take a leave, then we'll be lagging by 12 classes. And since we have a kind of a schedule that we need to complete it by 2 months, if you still want to basically take that as a leave, then I need to adjust my examples that I'm giving to you so that we need to complete the topics on time. All right. There might be plus or minus 5 odd days, but yeah, it is up to you whether you want to leave or not. All right. I just need to compromise on the content that I need to deliver if I'm giving you leaves from now. All right. To be honest, we are lagging by 11 classes. When I create a record type on a page layout, I cannot toggle as per the requirement which you have explained in this topic. You said that all the fields would be in order. So there are like mixed of thoughts here, right? So when you create a page layout, you have the option of arranging your fields. That is first thing. And the record type comes into play when you want to display 2 different page layouts to your end user. That means you should ideally have 2 page layouts already created, more than 1 page layout already be created in the system, and then you need to assign it to a record type. And that is where once your record types are active, that is also one thing that you need to check. If those are active on a given object, that is where when you click on that new button, you will be able to see that drop down where you can select those items. All right. And the idea of the record type is to not to make things the idea of the record type is not to help you arrange the fields. That should ideally happen in your page layouts. It is not a kind of a mandatory that all my fields should be in an order, left side or right side. I've given a requirement, or at least my fields were aligned like that, where everything coming on the left and some fields are coming on the right. All right. So depending on my field or my page design, it was coming like that. All right. It might not be the same case for you. All right. So for example, we consider customer support and technician support as a separate profiles. Can we create users to it? Profiles, you will create a customer support and a technical support, and you define what a customer support is, what he can do in the system. Right? Once your profile is ready, you'll identify what all users should be having this profile. Right? You cannot say that the front desk people will be handling the technical part. Right? You have an identified set of people saying that these people would be working in the front desk and these people will be working in the back end, where they'll go to the client's location and they'll fix that issue. The identified people will be getting the right profile. If you have identified 10 people and 10 people out of 10, 5 people are the front desk people and the 5 people are technician people. All right. When I say front desk people, they are the customer support people. All right. You'll identify that 5 people and you'll create a one user for them in Salesforce and assign that customer support as a profile. And for the other 5 people, you'll create another 5 users, but this time you will associate them to a technical support profile. All right. I'm asking what would be the UI difference. UI difference will be coming from your page layout. All right. Record type doesn't help you on the UI difference. It is up to you how you want to decide the fields to be looking like in your page layout. Alright, page layout defines how you want to segregate or arrange your fields. Record type is just allowing you to select what page layout you want, or what page layout do you want to use depending on a scenario. Alright. Alright. So I'm just going through the previous question. If in case if I have missed out anything, feel free to ping me. All right. To which profile? Okay, this is done. So if there we locking record, so that. All right. Like I've said, people were asking about how the records are being locked or whether it would be visible to them or not. It is the record level security concept that we need to understand. All right. If we take another object, then okay, this is done. This is done. All right. So I pretty much covered all the questions that came in. In case if you think that I've missed out anything, feel free to ping me. I'll take that question. If not, we can call it a date for today. All right. All right. I don't see any new questions coming in. In case if you don't have anything, feel free to drop off. And like I said, we'll be continuing on this topic on Monday's class. And in case if you have any questions, I'll wait for another minute or so, and I'll conclude this session. All right. We can close this session. All right.